my name is Jacob Brunson. This is my week 1 assignment for FTT 111 firearm inspection and troubleshooting. So in this assignment, just the prompts that we have, we're going to use a firearm that we own. We're going to demonstrate the process of clearing the firearm and your workstation, and then as well as performing a function check on it while assessing all 8 steps of the cycle of operations, and a trigger reset. And then I don't have dummy rounds for this, so I'm just gonna tell you what I'm going to expect would happen, what should happen while I'm going through those cycles of that step, and once that time frame comes up. Then kind of go over some creative ways you can use, or creative things you can do to assess those steps without using dummy rounds or live ammunition. See if I can find anything that I know of off the top of my head. But thank you. So for the next step of this, we're going to do a proper function check, as well as we're going to go through the cycle of operations at the same time. I'm going to kind of mix it in together to make this work right. First off, we're going to clear this firearm and make sure it is clear. This is our feeding system, this magazine here, so there is nothing in the magazine well, and I know that for sure. So the next step of this would be to make sure there's nothing in the chamber. If I was right-handed. So you're going to visually and physically make sure there's nothing in the magazine well, so we can see some daylight through there, as well as on the bolt, and then as well as in the chamber. So nothing in the chamber, nothing there on the bolt, and nothing through through the magazine well, so I can send this home knowing that there is nothing in there. So then this firearm is cleared. As well as my workspace. My workspace here is clear too. So no live ammunition on this one, other than I'm gonna move this micrometer real quick. So we're gonna go through the whole step. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this empty magazine and I'm gonna use that to help just lock it to the rear when we're going over everything. So we're gonna simulate as if this is rip-roaring and ready to go. So we're going to unlock the chamber. Chamber's wide open, empty magazine right there. So in the term of unlocking, what's going to happen is, it's obviously, if the firing happens and everything, is this is going back with the pressure that's been released. So it'll slowly work its way back. The whole time that that's happening is the 9mm round that was going to be in here in this SIG M18. It's going to shoot out and eject, and then at that same time that spring will then release so it can feed back forward. So I'm going to drop this magazine back out. So then as we're going through, just so the bolt catch release would go down. So at the same time, what will happen is the round's going to slide off of the feeding lips on the magazine. Then it's going to work its way into the chamber, and then as it gets into the chamber, it is then locked and ready to go. This is also cocking it at the same time, so this thing is basically would theoretically be ready to fire if there's a live round in there. So then after you get to that point, I'm going to drop this thing back onto fire and point it in a safe direction, and then we fire. So then what happens when you fire is the striker that's in here is going to hit the primer on that 9mm, and that 9mm is going to, the projectile end is going to send out. Then the pressures, once those pressures come back down to, more cooled, and the pressure's not as high. What's going to happen is that it's going to work its way back and kick back. Then we're back to unlocking and ejecting at the same time. So then we're back to square one where we were. So now we're going to go through the functions check, which, as we have known from the start that there's nothing in here, but we're going to do a full function check, or safety check again. You always got to be safe than sorry. So obviously this is our feeding system. There is not one in there. We're going to lock the bolt to the rear. Visually and physically make sure there's nothing in there. All right, and then send her home. She's clear, she's unsafe. So from this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through the cycle of operations, but I'll make sure if I had dummy rounds, then I would know if this magazine was feeding, if this was the issue. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the empty magazine. We're going to make sure she unlocks and that the bolt catch release, yep, there she is. There's the bolt catch. Bolt catch clicks up for me. Make sure the safety works. The safety's still working in this situation. So I'm gonna drop this magazine out. And then obviously we know we're clear. Send her home. And then we're going to make sure that this safety does work again, now that everything would theoretically be loaded and ready to go. Safety's working fine. It's holding her in pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on fire. I'm going to point this in a safe direction and make sure that everything can strike the primer as it should. All right, now we're going to do the trigger reset. What's going to happen here is I'm going to send this back while holding the trigger down. Figured that out that the first time I did this, I had no idea that's what it was the whole time, to do trigger reset. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put it back on safe after we get it back there. But so we sent her back. You had one audible click. This is going through. I put it on safe just for everybody's safety and mine as well. And then what you do is you send this home. It has now been cocked and loaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hear an additional click, and then that would then reset this trigger. There's your secondary audible click. The other function, the other part of the function test, you can take a nylon hammer and beat this thing around. I don't have a nylon hammer on me, so usually what I would do is just knock on it real hard, harder than what I'm doing now. But so around your firing group, kind of simulating knocking it around in the truck, if you're keeping it in your truck, or just if you drop it, even drop testing. I think Garand Thumb did a drop testing video, and it was kind of interesting which ones worked and which ones didn't. But so this here is going through the entirety of the cycle of operations, as well as doing a function check on my SIG M18 P320. I'm really interested to see how this course goes. I think it's gonna be really good. A lot of good learning here. But that's all I have for now. Thank you.